Welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're taking something that can feel, honestly, a bit overwhelming. Oklahoma's weekly unemployment certification and completely demystifying it for you.
Let me ask you right off the bat, are you struggling to navigate the process of certifying your weekly unemployment benefits in Oklahoma? If you are, you're not alone. But stay tuned because we're about to break down every single step you need to take to ensure you receive your benefits without any hassle.
Think of this explainer as your personal roadmap. We're going to quickly cover understanding your eligibility, the weekly certification process itself, mastering those work search requirements, reporting earnings without triggering issues, navigating the appeals process, and we'll wrap up with some great final tips and resources.
So let's jump right into Section 1, understanding your eligibility, the base period, and beyond.
Okay, before you even think about filing, there are some foundational rules you absolutely have to meet. To be monetarily eligible, you need to have earned at least $1,500 during your base period. But here's the kicker. You've got to meet the state's 1 and 1.5 rule. Basically, your total base period earnings have to equal or exceed 1.5 times the wages you earned during your highest paid quarter. So let's put that into perspective. Say you earned $24,000 in your best quarter, like Q3. You'd need to show cumulative base period earnings of at least $36,000 to qualify. Make sense?
And just to set some clear expectations right out of the gate, the absolute maximum weekly benefit amount cap for 2026 is $649. Now, your specific amount, that's going to be calculated as 1/23 of your highest quarter of taxable wages. But just remember, no matter what, it's not going to exceed that $649 cap.
All right, moving on to Section 2, the weekly certification process, step by step.
Before you start tapping away, you need to get your toolkit ready. Grab your social security number, your 4-digit PIN, and any separation docs you might have. You know, stuff like an SF-8 if you were a federal employee, or a DD Form 214 if you're a military vet. You basically have two main ways to file. You can go the online route using the Oklahoma Network Initial Claims, or ONIC, web portal, which is awesome because it's available 24/7. Or you can use the phone route via the telecert system.
Now, if you're going old school and using the phone system, here's your step-by-step routine. First, you'll dial 405-525-1500 if you're in OKC, or 1-800-555-1554 if you're outside the area. Next, just punch in your social security number and PIN. But here is where you really need to pay attention. Step 3 is crucial. You must listen to the yes-no prompts completely. Look, we all know how tempting it is to speed through an automated system, right? But if you punch in your answers too early, the system is going to restart the prompt, or even worse, record the wrong answer.
Which actually brings us to a massive warning. Literally, do not hang up before you hear the system say goodbye. I can't tell you how many stories I've heard of folks waiting weeks for a check, only to realize their claim never even processed because they hung up 2 seconds too early. If that call disconnects before the final sign-off, none of your answers get recorded. The whole shebang gets wiped, and you have to start all over again. Don't let that be you.
Let's roll into Section 3, mastering work search requirements, staying eligible.
To keep those payments coming, Oklahoma requires you to complete a minimum of 2 work search activities every single week. Now, there are a few exceptions, like if you're on a temporary layoff with a confirmed return date, or you're in an approved union hiring hall. But for most of us, this is mandatory. And hey, you aren't just limited to blindly hitting apply on job boards. Submitting formal applications, going to actual interviews, registering with staffing agencies, showing up at OESC job fairs, or even taking civil service exams, all of those count. Just make absolutely sure you keep a detailed log of these activities on the official form or website. Why? Because you could totally get randomly selected for an audit, and you want to be prepared.
You also need to note that you must certify within 14 days of the week ending date. If your claim is filed 15 or more days late, it's considered untimely. And honestly, in most cases, it simply will not be paid. Filing your certification is a weekly habit you've got to build. Do not leave money on the table just because of a missed deadline.
Next up, Section 4, reporting earnings and issues, avoiding fraud.
Okay, listen up because there is a massive distinction between earning money and actually getting paid. You must report any income, and we're talking part-time cash gigs, bonuses, commissions, severance, you name it, in the week the work was actually performed. Not when the check finally clears your bank account. So say you work a weekend gig, but you don't get handed the cash until Friday. You still have to report those hours on Sunday when you certify for that weekend. Failing to report your earnings correctly, even if it's a total accident, is considered fraud by the state. And trust me, You don't want that. It can lead to repaying benefits, getting hit with penalty fines, and even being blocked from future benefits.
All right, let's pivot to Section 5, navigating the appeals process. What if you're denied? If you check your mail and find a notice saying there's a stop on your claim, or maybe you're determined to be ineligible, take a deep breath. Don't panic. You have the right to appeal this, but the clock starts ticking on the mailing date printed on the letter itself, not the day you happen to check your mailbox. You have exactly 10 calendar days to file a standard appeal and 20 days if it's an overpayment appeal. Now, if that deadline falls on a weekend or a state holiday, you do get until the very next business day. But the point is, act fast and make sure you provide a really detailed explanation of exactly why you disagree with their decision.
Now, here is my absolute favorite, essential survival tip for this all process. Keep filing your weekly certifications during your appeal. I know it's frustrating, and even if you aren't getting paid right this second, you have to keep certifying. Why? Because if you win that appeal, the state is only going to back pay you for the eligible weeks you actively certified for while you were waiting. If you throw your hands up and stop filing because you're annoyed, you literally forfeit that money, so keep at it.
And finally, Section 6, Final Tips and Resources, Your Path to Reemployment.
You know, the Oklahoma Employment Security Commission isn't just a machine that processes claims. They genuinely want to help you get hired again. There are some fantastic, completely free resources out there for you. For instance, if you're selected for the RECIA program, you get one-on-one career guidance. Just make sure you actually attend those mandatory appointments or your benefits will stop. Then there's the federal bonding program, which actually provides fidelity bonding at no cost to employers who hire at-risk applicants. It's a great incentive. There's also Trade Adjustment Assistance, or TAA, which can literally help offset your tuition if your job was impacted by foreign trade. And of course, your local Oklahoma work centers are gold mines. They offer everything from free computer access to interview coaching and specific veteran employment services. Use them.
So before we wrap up, I have to ask you something important. Have you registered your resume on employoklahoma.gov yet? And what is your very next step towards securing your future? You see, publishing your resume on Employ Oklahoma is an absolute, non-negotiable requirement to receive these benefits. If you haven't done it yet, you need to make it your #1 priority today, right after this explainer, just to ensure your payments aren't put on hold.
Thank you so much for joining me today to demystify this whole process. Now, I do need to leave you with this quick final note. This explainer is intended for informational purposes only. For specific questions regarding your unemployment benefits, please consult directly with the Oklahoma Employment Security Commission or seek professional advice tailored to your individual situation. Good luck out there, stay focused, and remember, you've absolutely got this.